So, everyone so far has given their takes on Venom, and overall, it's a really mixed bag of opinions. On one hand, many people like the movie and what it had to offer while acknowledging the fact that it has a lot to fix, while the other half of people hate the movie and say that the movie is terrible whether you add the cut 40 minutes of footage or not. I feel the need to give my take for whatever reason, so that's what I'm going to do. So here's my review of Venom. Venom tells the story of Eddie Brock, an investigative reporter in California who becomes the host for an alien life form that's known as Venom. Now, here's where my first nitpicky issue with this film comes in. In Sony's desperate attempt to get this movie tied in with the MCU, seeing that the movie made the jump to a PG-13 rating and steered away from the somewhat horror tone we thought we were going to get, why did they base the movie in California and not New York? Now, I know they explain the reasoning for the move at the beginning of the film, but really, why can't it just be based in New York? My only guesses are that it's either a safety net set in case Marvel decides to not let Venom into the MCU, which I can almost guarantee that they won't, or New York was just too expensive to shoot in. Okay, I'll try to keep nitpicking to a minimum from here on out. The first half of this movie is paced well and had me hooked in, showing how Eddie's life is going well until he makes a few big slip-ups and gets separated from his fiancée and fired from his job. But the speed of the movie goes from good to entirely too fast a little after Eddie first comes in contact with the symbiote. It's such a shame too, because the interaction between Eddie and Venom is really good, leading to some genuine laughs and definitely could have led to more bonding between the two. As I stated earlier, apparently around 40 minutes of footage was cut from the movie, some of it being Tom Hardy's favorite stuff. Now, I wouldn't be surprised at all if this content was directed more at Eddie and Venom interacting. I'm almost certain that's what was cut due to how little he ended up caring about anyone who isn't Eddie, including Drake, who was supposed to be the main villain in the movie. And Eddie's girlfriend, played by Michelle Williams, just gets a new boyfriend almost immediately after her and Eddie break up, and this really wouldn't bother me if they weren't engaged. These two people were planning to get married, break up, and she's fucking a doctor literally a few days after. It really kills any belief that these two characters had any chemistry at all, let alone were engaged. I'd say everyone who isn't Eddie and Venom were written poorly, but the truth is, I don't even think they were written at all. It's almost like they told them, you're a girlfriend and you're the bad guy, and told them to go with it and began rolling. Tom Hardy is great and does what he can with what's written, which really isn't all that bad. It seems like he's the only character that they put any time into writing, which wouldn't be that bad if they didn't surround him with other people all the time. Another big issue with the movie that fucked it up was the clear editing and cuts that were made. Like, there's a scene where Eddie gets into the bad guy's headquarters, and you can see where the movie is probably going in a more horror-driven direction, and it looks so good, but then completely gets redone to be more action-oriented. There are a lot of moments where Venom bites someone's head off, and it really felt that they plan on showing us that stuff, but then either reshot or had another shot ready, knowing that the studio was going to inform everyone of major changes out of the blue. They took the scissors to this movie in a really bad way. It definitely messes with the plot. Venom at one point brings up how the other symbiote aliens are going to come and destroy the planet, then almost at the drop of a dime he suddenly is all about saving the planet and is literally willing to die to do it. This change of heart comes out of almost nowhere, and once again, I'm sure it's something that got cut, because I refuse to believe that something that important to the overall story wasn't written and then filmed, made it all the way to theaters without knowing anything. Also, 1 second Eddie gets removed from Venom, is happy about it, then later is happy to be reunited with it. It's all over the place and either doesn't have any reasoning to these moments, or it gets glossed over in the high-speed chase that's the second half. Eddie does talk to Venom about the difference between good and bad people, but that's at the end of the movie. The bulk of the movie's action takes place in the second act, and really, I felt like if you were to take Venom out of this movie, it would just be another Hollywood action flick. It feels that empty at moments in the second half. There are cool moments like where Venom fights the swamp members, or the end fight, which is pretty cool if you ignore the story and just take it at face value as a CGI boss fight. But the second you start asking how you got to where you are in the movie and everything that led up to it, it instantly takes you out of it. Speaking of CGI, I thought Venom looked really good. What I had a problem with is when Eddie goes to confront his neighbor about his music being too loud when he first comes in contact with the symbiote. We get this thing where Venom's eyes and mouth come out of Eddie's face, and it looked so bad to me I literally laughed in the theater. Not because of the scene or that it was funny, but because it looked really, really fucking stupid. The end credit scene was okay, but I have no clue how they're going to get Carnage to work in a PG-13 atmosphere without 99% of what he does being done off camera or out of frame. Is this movie as bad as Suicide Squad or Catwoman or Fantastic Four? Hell no. The best way I can sum this up is like a parent to a child that made a bad decision. I'm not mad, just disappointed. This movie, when it was announced, had such a strong following behind it and so much support, even up to the day it was released, and even till now. I was all for this movie. I believed that you could have a Venom story without Spider-Man in it at all, and I didn't lose too much hope after they said the movie would be PG-13 and not rated R, because a movie's worth doesn't lie in its rating. But after finally seeing this movie, I couldn't help but walk out of that theater feeling really let down as that god-awful Eminem song blasted me in the back of the head, almost acting like my own symbiote's high-frequency noise weakness. If you like this movie, you shouldn't feel bad or weird or awkward at all. You have a right to your own opinion and liking what you like. But when people dislike this movie for very, very valid reasons, don't dismiss their opposing opinion as, oh, you didn't like it because it wasn't all the other Marvel movies, it's not full of comedy. 1, the movie had a lot of funny moments between Eddie and Venom that I enjoyed. 2, the question is, did I feel uneasy when I saw that Sony was going to try and do this movie? Yes, but I reeled that in after thinking about how nostalgic I am and loved the early 2000s Spider-Man movies and figured that Sony could get Venom right this time. Overall, if you like the action flick movies that you can just turn your brain off for and enjoy the ride, I'd say go see it. If you're going to go into this movie expecting something huge and fantastic and be one of the best superhero movies you've seen, stay home. Either way I see it, we all get used to it, because seeing how good this movie did in the box office, we are definitely going to get several sequels. Sony is going to give us some of these kind of movies almost every year now, and if they're all as unpolished as Venom, I think they should just hold on to them and make sure they're better before dropping them.